today is the day you're going to want to do it. 50857, the Academy Sports and Outdoors text.
So I'll get to my sadness and your exuberance in a moment. My wife was out of town yesterday, so I took on the challenge of watching NFL Red Zone while chasing around a near 2-year-old. My son will be 2 at the end of this month.
That had to be the most fun you've had all month.
That should be like an Olympic sport. And thank God for my phone, my iPad, and YouTube TV for carrying me through. Just kind of taking my devices wherever he ran to so that I could watch and, with one eye and then the other eye I'm parenting.
There you go. So multitasking.
It was a lot going on. You must be excited. You want to get this out of your system now?
No, we can talk about family and things that you did over the weekend. I strained my back this weekend. I did that. That was a thing.
Cheering for Lamar Jackson. How did you do that?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
That's how you know you're getting old.
Yeah, it's exactly how I know I'm getting old. Because I woke up and my back was like, you did something bad. And I was like, well, what was it? And he was like, I'm not going to tell you.
I had a dream I was working out. And then
that was it. Yeah. I pictured myself working out. That was it.
So I'm sure that many that were watching that fine display on Sunday morning as the Miami Dolphins were struggling.
There's nothing better than London football games, right?
Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
There's no, especially when it's your team and it's the first thing you're watching.
Yeah.
You're struggling to beat the Jaguars. And I'm sure that many of you were curious as to how is Brandon handling this? Not well. That's a game that you can't lose. Poor effort pretty much everywhere. But I'm going to just go ahead and say something that I know will not shock you. That was not on Tua. It was absolutely not. I know that we want to draw conclusions after this game. He lost to the Jags, had a terrible interception, couple of wobbly throws, but largely I thought he looked pretty good. It is not Tua's fault that the team can run. A total of 77 yards against the Jags. Malcolm Brown led the way with 24 yards, and Tua was the second leading rusher with 22 yards.
Yes, he was.
It's not his fault that his coach, Brian Flores, who I used to like,
yeah, you did,
decided to punt with 6 minutes and 51 seconds left on the clock on a 4th and 1 on their own 46. That's the time that you go for it in today's analytical NFL.
Yeah,
and that was while they were down a field goal. So you need to score. That's a time to be aggressive. And you've got time on the clock in case your aggressiveness comes back and backfires on you. Not when it's 4th and 1, the game is tied, and there's a minute 49 on the clock. That's when you don't go for it. That's when you punt the football. And they go for it, and they don't have the personnel for it. Their offensive line is bad, and they can't run. They run with zero physicality.
Yeah.
Watch a Ravens game, and then the opposite of that is what the Dolphins do when trying to run the football. I mean, all of that. It was a disaster. Tua was not perfect, and he probably never will be. But this is not a Tua problem.
So
this is a Dolphin problem. This team is in shambles right now.
I want to give all of our listeners a little peek behind the curtain. You good? You need another breath? You okay?
I'm fine. You need to go now.
All of our listeners a peek behind the curtain. So when we walk into the studio, Brandon sits on one side, I sit on the other side. We are separated by soundproof glass. We can't speak to each other unless we pop open a microphone. We rarely talk about anything before the show.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep it fresh. We want all our takes to be fresh. And we want you guys to get the raw emotion of whatever it is that we're talking about. In today's blog on 96.9 The Game, on the In the Zone section, my headline, the Dolphins better keep Tua. Because it was not Tua's fault that they lost that game.
Oh, God, the relief that I feel.
It was not Tua's fault that they lost that game. And I highlight the poor rushing attack of the Miami Dolphins as the main reason that they lost that game. It was running. It was defense. They made Trevor Lawrence look like he could do whatever he wanted to at the end of that game.
Yeah.
And they had no running attack, which means they have no threat in the red zone whatsoever. We know what you're going to do. Tua's going to drop back to pass it, and you're putting so much pressure on Tua, who has just come back from an injury, and then just come back from an injury again, and then just come back from an injury again, and you don't give him any buffer, and any ability to mix things up. Everybody knows once you get into the red zone, and this is where their problem was yesterday. They got to the red zone fine. They were moving the ball great. Tua was making some magnificent passes. But inside the 12-yard line, we know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And so we can defend that. And this loss was not on Tua.
Yeah, and I mean, well, you nailed it, but you left the coaches off the hook because they're a problem too. The running game, the defense, they're dealing with injuries. Both top defensive backs, and the Dolphins have some really good DBs. They were both out, and their backups aren't as good as the starters are. It's still no excuse. You're playing against Jacksonville. That'd be a great excuse if you were playing the Cardinals or something like that. But when you're playing Jacksonville, you should be able to overcome these things. It was a battle. That's fine. Bad teams have good days. Trevor Lawrence looked really good. But that's a game that you have to win. However it happens, you have to make it happen, and you should be able to outcoach Urban Meyer. You should be able to out-physical a young, inexperienced, not very good Jaguars team. They weren't able to do any of those things. But, honestly, it is a breath of fresh air because I've been yelling at Tua. It feels like I've been yelling at a wall. Nobody will listen to me. I was like listening to an echo chamber with everything that you just said. Here's a fun fact. Tua had more passing yards than Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, the two quarterbacks drafted right around him on Sunday. He had one more touchdown pass than Justin Herbert. And isn't it funny that on a day where the Dolphins lose, and so a lot of people want to point a finger at Tua because he is the quarterback. He was not perfect. He did make mistakes. He was better than Justin Herbert was yesterday.
He certainly was better than Justin Herbert. And to give you guys an idea of how bad this running attack is, and people are like, you don't need a run game in the NFL. That's not true.
No, it's not
the
true.
Miami Dolphins have eclipsed 100 yards rushing one time. That was when they played Las Vegas. The second most yards rushing they've had as a team all season long, yesterday against Jacksonville. 77
I
yards.
didn't even know that. That's terrible. Yeah, they can't run. It's a major problem, and that's why you need a good offensive line. That's not anything new, but that it's one of the reasons why it drives me crazy when people like the guy we're going to bring on at 4, our morning show host, Mike Bianchi, is running backs are a dime a dozen. Okay, well, I mean, you can't overspend running backs because it's not good for the pay structure of a salary cap league in the NFL, but the idea that you don't need a good one, that's false.
Yeah, that's completely
you just grab them anywhere. Okay.
No, you can't.
Then it's possible, but
you may hit, but it's not. The odds are not in your favor.
You better have a really good system.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why I say look at the Ravens. The Ravens are down. They're down to their 4th option at running back at this point, and it's still working for them. But they have a system built to run the football so they can be plug and play. If you don't have one of those systems, you better have a good running back to overcome all of the things that you don't have. And when you're just trotting out Myles Gaskin and Malcolm Brown, and you're like, go fix the problem for us. They're not good enough to do that. Here's another fun fact for you. Of all 6 quarterbacks that have gone up against the Jacksonville Jaguars this year, a bad defense, only Joe Burrow had more passing yards against the Jets than Tua.
Tua did what was necessary to win that game.
And he did that. Keep in mind, he did that with zero threat of the run.
Yes.
So you were just playing Tua.
Exactly. And not only did he do what was necessary to win that game, he did what was necessary to be up major points in that game. The way he was playing in that game, the Dolphins should have been up by at least 14 points. It shouldn't have even been close. But a mixture of bad running, bad coaching, and a defense that can't pull things together because of injuries, and you got the perfect storm for the Jacksonville Jaguars to get their first win. Might I also add, I called the Jags.
Yeah. And this is one of those things where people get fired for this.
Yes.
And you should. If we're just going to be knee-jerk, we're firing people, which is what we do in football. Ask LSU. This is one of those where people get fired. And not just, it's crazy because how fast things change. I was so into Brian Flores as a head coach.
Oh, he was great. What he did last year made him – he was a candidate. Now, he would have never won it, but he was a candidate for Coach of the Year.
Absolutely.
For just what he did last year with that team. What he's doing this year, the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL.
They're down there.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the worst. But they're close.
If I put the Dolphins on the field with the Lions, who do you think wins?
I think the Dolphins beat the Lions. Lions can't win. Although Lions haven't won yet. At least the Dolphins figured out how to do it once. And they did it in Gillette, which you're seeing. Not an easy place to play.
Yeah.
So I think Sunday was brutal. That was excruciating. That was one of the most painful losses I've felt as a fan in a long time. I think I need a break. I need a break from the Miami Dolphins. I need that. I need a break.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not bringing up, but we need some separation here.
Right.
I can't go through this.
You need to be able to see other people.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start dating the Ravens.
That's what I was waiting to hear, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna, for the rest of the season, we're gonna test this out.
Now,
I still love Tua, but I can't do this with this team this year.
I want you to be very well aware of this. I want this on the record. I want there to be no mistakes or confusions about this. If the Ravens lose to the Bengals, I am kicking you off of the Ravens bandwagon as fast as my foot will swing. I want you to know it.
That's fine.
All right.
As of right now, I am adopting the Baltimore Ravens. I was born in Baltimore, so
Yes.
There's some leeway and allowance here.
Yeah, you're not just some crazy fan that just wants to get on the bandwagon. You have roots in the city.
So I'm hopping on now, and if they go on to win the Super Bowl, I think we're going to make this a long-term relationship.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the way.
No pressure.
That's the way that we'll handle this. If they go on, or for whatever reason, like I just get the bug, I get the itch, but I'm keeping my options open for the first time since I became a Dolphins fan. It's time to take a step back and reevaluate, because I'm looking, like I told you, I'm watching the Red Zone channel. I'm watching my son, and I'm looking and going, like, the Ravens are blowing out the Chargers, and I just witnessed the Dolphins lose to the Jags. I'm like, I can't raise him to experience this. The child makes it different when you're a single guy and you accept the losing you just move on and you hold on to your team because of that loyalty that you're supposed to have as a sports fan. He doesn't have that yet. He's 2. He doesn't know the difference.
Right.
I can't raise him in a world where I am making that part of his life. I can't do that to him. So this is about my child.
Yeah, that's what this is about, your kids. The legacy is about the future.
Up next, losing to a coach who is on his way out the door. Really, Florida? You're next.